Good morning everybody and welcome back to another episode of Barham Engines. So before we go any further today guys, we're going to head to the back of the workshop. We've got a special guest in today, so I suppose we better get round the back and see him. Right everyone, got a very special guest today.
Very special.
Man we haven't seen for quite some time in the videos.
I've been hiding.
Paul Dove.
Thanks guys.
And we've chucked him in at the deep end today, so Paul's over there starting to put together the Rover V8.
Yeah.
Spent a morning of cleaning.
Cleaning, yeah. Nice and clean, ready to put together.
Got to be clean, Paul. Got to be clean.
Beautiful.
So what we doing here, mate?
Well, basically putting pistons on rods, but these are not like you would normally see where you've got the circlip either end.
No.
These are a press fit onto the con rod.
Okay. So there's no circlip groove in these pistons. It is literally a shrink fit on the rod.
So as you can see, this gudgeon pin slides lovely for the piston.
Yeah.
However, it will not slide through the con rod.
Okay.
So we need to heat up the small end of the con rod.
Yeah.
To a certain point.
So there's no bush in that rod. It's just an interference fit.
And then we have a few seconds to slide this gudgeon pin on.
Yeah.
And get the piston centralised.
So you're going to be doing this now. I see you've done all these down here, Paul, successfully. So you're going to be doing the final one in front of camera, so no pressure whatsoever.
No pressure, mate. I soak up pressure.
So basically, before Paul does this, what we do, obviously, aluminium jaws to ensure we don't damage the housing.
Got my safety glasses on.
Nip the rod in there, yeah. Nip the rod in the vise, and you get the piston set up with the gudgeon pin in the same sort of direction, so it just goes straight on there. Yeah. First thing we do is make sure that pin slides all the way through the piston. You don't want to be, because once that's heated up, you've got about 10 seconds, is it, Paul?
Yeah, it's probably less than that. I mean, basically, when we put this on, it will go straight like that. So I know for a fact that front has to be towards me.
Yeah.
So. And
just to make it more difficult with the V8, these rods are handed. So you've got 2 rods go on one big end journal. Yep. So there's 4 big end journals on the crank, 2 rods on each, and they'll go in a different direction. So you've got, where are we? So you've got little pimples here and a notch at the back here.
There's a little, like a small arrow.
And those 2 face each other, is that right, on the same journal?
That's the maintenance services, basically.
Okay. So yeah, you've got to make sure that these are all in the right order before you do this, so you don't get confused. So yeah, what Paul's going to do now, he's going to heat this small end up until the edge of it, the edge of it starts to go a bit red, and then you know it's warm enough then. And then he'll put the gun down as fast as possible and get it all together.
Oh.
I expect a lot of people in the comments, I'm sure I've showed you this before, and people will comment saying, oh, I would shrink the pin, etc., but it swings and roundabouts. As long as you don't get that small end cherry red all over, you're not going to affect the hardening of it at all.
You got your safety glasses on, mate?
Yeah, both got the safety glasses on, Paul. I won't show them your head. So what he's going to aim to do is, first of all, you put the piston straight onto the small end, push the pin through, and you've got to, using your fingers, feel both sides that it's fairly even, and then make sure that the piston at the same time is even, the rod is even in the centre of the piston, and then you just leave it to go off. What happens then is,
starting to go
obviously
red
the pin will heat up from the small end, and sort of seize up in the piston, and then it will...
Here we go, boys and girls.
Here we go.
There we go. Leave that.
So even both sides.
Leave it out for 10 seconds, just to...
See, that's going off now, and what will happen eventually is it will obviously pinch the pin, then it will free off as the piston warms either end, and basically the pin moves in the piston and not the rod. And the idea of getting the piston, the pin as central as you can in the piston is so when you move it side to side, the pin doesn't protrude out of either side of the
it's not completely
the piston.
perfect.
It's not going to be 100% accurate, but it's just got to, you've got to make sure that that pin does not protrude and rub up against the bore.
Plenty of clearance there. So that's it's not going to hit the bore. So I'm happy with that
mate.
one.
Very, very good.
That's nice and hot.
So those rods are balanced, the crank assembly's balanced, the pistons are all balanced.
We'll let these cool down.
All we've got to do is gap the rings, Paul. We've got next to no gap on the rings.
Yeah, we're a gap the rings, and we can put the rings on the pistons and pistons in the engine, and then we're getting there basically. They've got to put the heads together as well.
Job's a good one.
Sorted.
Thank you, mate. Lovely to see you.
Thank you very much.
Right, so the Audi TT-S, so this has got the 2-litre TFSI engine in it, or a derivative of. We all know that the TFSI comes in many, many different forms. Volkswagen have a habit of changing things from car to car and engine code to engine code, but predominantly they're all the similar sort of things. You can see here we've got the cylinder head done, which has just got to be cleaned. We've got the uprated clutch and solid flywheel conversion. Few bits here, gasket set. Short engine is all put together, obviously balanced with the ARP stud and nut kit, mains kit. It's been line honed to these main stud and nut kit, so it's we're running the correct clearance. We've had to take a little bit, 10th thou off the top of the pistons, but you can see under there, those pistons are looking a bit spankly. But yeah, just thought we would show you this very clever bit of design work from Volkswagen. We had to check and strip the oil pump. Now, the reason for this, if it was just a sort of normal, small oil pump, obviously with the cost of this engine, everything's going into it. Bear in mind, we've got uprated camshafts and all that coming, so turbo under there, hybrid turbo. Yeah, you spent a lot of money on this thing, so we would obviously just chuck an oil pump in. But the reason I'm stripping and checking this one is because, as you can see, very, very cleverly designed. The oil pump is all part of the casting on the balance shaft assembly. So all this assembly here, including the balance shafts, is what you have to purchase if you want a new oil pump at a bargain price, and this is from TPS, so genuine item, £1,800 plus VAT to us. So needs be, we will obviously buy one, but just for the sake of this oil pump here, with these few components, as important as it is, it's a bit overkill. So I would have thought there'd been a bit better way of designing that. But anyway, we've stripped it. We have purchased a new pickup pipe, which is this little item here. Not going to trust that, so we've got that coming. But what we've done is we've took this out, and you can see it's absolutely like new. There's a few, see the back's absolutely perfect. There's a couple of little score marks on here, but you literally cannot even feel those. The back of the housing is untouched, absolutely perfect, and so is the housing here. We've measured it, the clearances are absolutely cock on, and so is this, absolutely fine. So fortunately, I don't think we're going to have to buy an oil pump for this thing, but yeah, you can imagine the horror when they give us that quote. So yeah, well done Volkswagen. Just another way of sucking money out of people, I suppose. Right guys, what have we here on the bench? We have something that we haven't, I'll be honest with you, I don't think I've seen a bottom end of one of these since I've been here in 20 odd years. So this is a 190E Cosworth engine, a 2.5, lovely engine. We've got to bore it, we've got to face the block. The head apparently has all been gone through, but he wants us to strip it, check it, put new stem seals on anyway, because there's no sort of knowledge of how long this thing's been standing. So we're just going to go through it, check it, clean it all up, make sure it's all good. If need be, we'll sort the seats out and the valves, etc. But we have ordered new pistons. Now, a little bit of a issue with the pistons. Not really an issue, but these are Mahler genuine sort of motorsport pistons, and the original comes with as a flat top with 4 valve cutouts in, which we have got somewhere. So that is the original piston. You can see flat top with the 4 valve cutouts in it. So what we have done is we have took the original casting numbers off this piston and identified it, but through Mahler. So we've got the same part number, wherever that is. You see there, it's the 002750. and this is what has been supplied. So comes with a very, very shallow bowl in the top, a very shallow bowl. Bear in mind, by the time we face this block, we're probably going to have to take a little bit off the pistons anyway, and it comes with no valve pockets. So I'm going to have to put my own valve pockets in this. As I say, obviously with some took off the head, etc., this is probably just going to compensate for the compression, so it's not a bad thing. But I'm going to work it all out. So I'm going to work the volume out in the head, obviously the gasket thickness, etc., and see what difference this makes as opposed to the flat top. But my thinking is, by the time I took a bit off this, it's we're going to be there or thereabouts. But yeah, we normally find this. We've found this with the Cosworth. When we buy the Marla Motorsport Cosworth pistons now, they come with a 10mm thick crown, which is obviously thicker than original, and they come as a flat top, so we have to machine our own bowl, valve cutouts. I don't mind that because obviously we know where we are. We can get it back to exactly what we want it to run. So yeah, bit strange. As I say, the customer, it took a bit of convincing of the customer that these were the correct ones, but they are the correct ones. So yeah, quite nice to have a 190E Cosworth thing, guys. And once we get the head in bits, we'll show you what's inside. Well, short and sweet today, guys. Thanks ever so much for watching. Stay tuned for next video, which will be Wednesday, where we get involved in stripping this little beauty, the 5-cylinder Ford/Volvo block. See what we can find in there. But until another one, have a great evening. We'll see you then. Cheers, guys.